Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 3. So we only have a handful of days now until the Season 3 premiere for Superman and Lois, and as you would expect, there is a decent amount of excitement building, just building up within all the viewers and all the fans, along with the standard curiosity that comes along with new storylines, new mysteries, and new adventures, and everything in between when, heading into a new season. Now, there has been a decent amount said about the characters of like Superman and your Lois, as you'd expect, and then the twins, and even the upcoming big threat for most of this season in the form of Bruno Mannheim and Intergang. But one character that hasn't had really too much said about them, and who's a pretty big character that's coming in this season, which is of course Lex Luthor. Now, we knew that this would be a bit more of a darker and different take on the character from previous live action iterations at the very least, and that Michael Cudlitz from shows like The Walking Dead would be playing the character, but not much has been said outside of that, but now that has changed. So we are doing this video and ripping from it from this interview portion that is coming from Krypton's site, where they talk to both Todd Helbing and Brent Fletcher, who are apparently both now showrunners. So Brent Fletcher has stepped up alongside Todd Helbing as a co-showrunner. Now, there will be a longer interview released prior to the season 3 premiere over the next couple of days, roughly. But this is part of the interview that focuses on Lex Luthor and his role in the upcoming third season. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on this. Are you excited to have Lex showing up? Do you have any thoughts, and theories and predictions around specifically what his role might be? Let me know in the comment section down below. Always curious to read that type of stuff. And of course, you're going to enjoy the video. You're excited for Lex coming in and just excited for Superman and Lois to finally be back. Drop a like on the video to show your support. It takes 2 seconds. So to start off, Todd Helbing was asked what made, now, Season 3 the right time to bring in Lex Luthor, and also how it came about. We got permission. We wanted to tackle some different villains and sort of separate ourselves a little bit, but we felt like as soon as we could get Lex to bring him in, he's the villain. He is Superman's guy, and when we finally got permission to use him, we came up with a take, and everybody at DC and Warner Brothers and the CW were stoked with that. What we were trying to do. We were super fortunate and excited to have Michael Cudlitz. So this is pretty interesting. So obviously, we know when it comes to certain things and big characters like your Batmans and your Supermans and stuff like that, sometimes actually using certain villains isn't allowed. And sometimes you get the right, sometimes you don't. And when it comes to Superman, the only character who's, I think, super exclusive, where there might be difficulty to use him, is Lex Luthor. But I think I said this when Titans were using him, and there was still talk about whether Superman and Lois could actually use Lex Luthor. I was like, well, hold on. Supergirl got to use him, and goddamn Titans got to use him. If Superman and Lois does not get to use Lex Luthor and is barred from it, that is ridiculous. So thank the Lord that that's been able to happen and we get to bring him in. And Michael Cudlitz just seems like a guy that would be able to do a pretty menacing and also different take on Lex Luthor, so that's pretty exciting. But Brent Fletcher had this to add on to what Todd Helbing just said there. The thing with Luthor is he's such an iconic character that even people who aren't familiar with comics know who Lex Luthor is. So for us, the challenge is to, how to put our stamp on it. And I think that's why we were able to get Luthor. We had to take what's different in terms of what you've seen in live action. This take also seems to be what drew Michael Cudlitz to the character that he fully understood, which felt like it would make him a great foil for the show's Superman. It also made him an interesting fit chemistry-wise with the already established cast. Honestly, we couldn't be more excited about that when the time comes to unleash him on the world. So that's the interesting thing is they don't go into episode 1 expecting Michael Cudlitz to stroll out as Lex Luthor. He was cast when they were about halfway or over halfway through filming the season, so I wouldn't expect him to show up until, there's 13 episodes this season, so maybe episode 8 or 9, maybe a bit earlier than that, but it was around that point roughly that the casting came out. So definitely the halfway point of the season, they might start mentioning Lex, or they might mention him earlier on, but definitely the build up to him showing up will be around that halfway portion of the season leading into the back half. So I'd expect him to be on the show for at least 5 episodes maybe, but that's a wait and see. They haven't even confirmed what episode he's coming in. We just know roughly the date he was cast and everything like that. Now, one of the signature looks for most iterations of Lex Luthor is a big old bald head, if you just want to put it in simple terms. And recently in live action, there's also been a bit of a longer beard sporting that, or sometimes long, sometimes short, whichever way it is. But a beard supporting or sporting alongside that bald head, like we've seen on Supergirl and Titan. So, what about Michael Cudlitz's version of Lex Luthor? What's that going to look like? And this is what Brent Fletcher had to say. We can't tell you that right off the bat. We want people to guess. It's a good question, but I feel like that would be a spoiler that we can't give away quite yet. When you see this Lex Luthor, we feel like he's going to be one of the Lex Luthors to talk about for generations to come. We're really proud of Cudlitz and what he's doing with him. And that's, if Michael Cudlitz's Lex Luthor is on the same plane of fitting the character like Tyler Hoechlin does with Superman, we're in store for a pretty good damn take on Lex Luthor. Now, people were theorizing if it could be like a full head of red hair version of Lex Luthor like there has been in certain iterations of the comics. Now, of course, Michael Cudlitz did have the full head of red hair when he was Abraham on The Walking Dead, but now he has some like natural grey hair going on in real life. But I think he'll have a bald look. I don't know that if he would have shaved his head for the role, or maybe just wear a bald cap, whatever the thing is that they wear. I'm not too sure exactly what they're going to do, though I could see them also doing something where maybe in a scene or a certain part of the season, he wears a wig to go undercover and then like pulls off the wig as almost like an homage to the Gene Hackman version of Lex Luthor from, the Christopher Reeve movies. So I think that could be the homage there when he says it nods back to some of the previous iterations and stuff like that. I think that's something we could see. So that's what I don't want to say I'm expecting it, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And finally, as we know, this is a reveal that they announced first. Like, it wasn't spoiled or anything. Lex Luthor wasn't spoiled by some set photos or a script leak or anything like that. There was that initial report from that hashtag show where they said that Lex Luthor was being cast and they had like a description, but it didn't specifically say it was Lex Luthor. It was just an assumption based off the description of the character, which really fit Lex, and obviously that ended up being true. But this is what Todd Helbing had to say on potentially keeping it a secret for the actual show and not actually revealing it in like a press release when Michael Cudlitz was cast. Ideally, yes, it would have been a scenario where the audience is, watching the episode where he shows up for the first time and it's a massive surprise, but I think it's unrealistic to expect that. We try to keep as much information secret as we can, but some of the stuff is going to leak, but hopefully the heart of the story of who he is will not. And this is what Brent Fletcher finishes off by saying this. You're fighting two dynamics because we don't want to spoil the fun of the surprise for people that have been watching, but we also generally love the show and want to expand the tent and want more people to see what we're doing. If the carrot of Lex Luthor brings a couple more people in, we want them there. We think they'll be happy when they come in and see what we're going to do with him. So I think I understand both sides. And Brent Fletcher sort of says, you're fighting two dynamics because you don't want to spoil stuff, but then of course it's almost an advertising tool saying Lex Luthor is going to show up, and you sort of agree with both things. Now, I think I probably just support the fact of supporting the show, promoting the show by saying Lex Luthor's coming in. I think that's probably the better way to do it, but I think if it was something else where, I don't know, maybe like, it's hard with a show like Superman or Lois specifically because it's only going into its third season, but if we had a character from like seasons 1 or 2 or something coming in like that, and it was a big, coming back for like a fifth season, like a returning character, that would be a surprise for fans watching the show. But, you're using Lex Luthor. I think you probably want people to get in episode 1 of season 3 and watch through to the point in which Lex Luthor rolls into the show and everything like that and folds in. So probably promoting it with Lex Luthor is probably the best way to go about it. Though I do prefer the fact that we haven't actually seen anything with Lex Luthor. So there was that, Todd Helbing was sort of like, well, we're just sort of getting ahead of ourselves just in case something leaks. Well, nothing really leaked, as I said before, outside of that hashtag or that hashtag show article, which didn't necessarily confirm Lex Luthor. It was just an assumption based off the description, as I said. So we still haven't seen what Michael Cudlitz is going to look like, exactly what his role in the show is. Do his scenes take place in Metropolis or somewhere else? We don't know that. That's still up for the guessing. And to be honest, I don't think they're going to rush it out too early in regards to a promotional pic of him. I think they might leave it maybe until the episode actually airs and we get the full-on reveal of who Lex Luthor is and stuff like that, because I think if you bring in Lex Luthor, there's going to be quite the entrance and quite the introduction scene. I don't think they're going to play it too soft or anything like that, so I think we'll get quite an interesting scene with that. I think from memory with Supergirl, they did a pretty good Lex Luthor introductory scene with him, and it was very Lex Luthor, so I'd expect the same actually, I'd expect better from Superman and Lois as well. So I'm very much looking forward to how they introduce the character and all that, as well as how it plays off into the end of the season. Because last thing to mention is that, and obviously this is repeating something we've talked about before, but when the casting information came out for Lex Luthor, which was now been confirmed by the fact that he actually is coming on the show, it said that it was a recurring character for the back end of the season, but also an option to be in season 4 as a series regular. So if Superman and Lois does continue, we should expect, at least based off that, for Lex Luthor to continue as well. So his story should technically not end come the end of this season. It should be, I don't want to say it should be just starting, but it's just definitely not the end. It will continue if Superman and Lois as a show does continue. And that could be one of the hooks that maybe helps Superman and Lois continue as well. The fact that they have Lex goddamn Luthor there. So fingers crossed that happens, but that's a wait and see. I'm just excited to start this season because I feel like this show has been away for so long. So awesome to have it back finally. But yeah, as I said, this interview, the full thing will be available over the next couple of days. So just keep your eye out on Krypton's site, follow them on Twitter, all that stuff. And if there's anything interesting there, you can read it when it happens. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome. You could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on all the stuff we went over in this video. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.